The machete slipped from Marcus Webb's hand. Not dropped. Slipped. Because his fingers wouldn't close anymore. Because something had just stepped out from the canopy 50 feet ahead. Something massive, silver-backed, moving with the kind of silence that doesn't belong to anything that size. Marcus couldn't breathe. His porter was already running, the gorilla's eyes locked onto his, not curious, not afraid, remembering. "No," Marcus whispered. "No, you died. You were—" But what Marcus Webb didn't know, what he couldn't know, was that 12 years ago, when he posed for that photo with his boot on a silverback's corpse, when he paid $45,000 to shoot the dominant male of this very troop, he'd left a witness, a 3-year-old juvenile who watched from the trees as his father's chest stopped moving, who learned that humans don't just kill, they smile while doing it. That juvenile was now 340 pounds of muscle and memory, and Marcus Webb had just wandered into his jungle. This is the story of Keza and the hunter who thought gorillas forget. If you believe some debts take years to collect, subscribe now. Because what happens in the next 14 minutes will make you understand why the jungle keeps receipts. Now let me take you back. Marcus Webb wasn't always a killer. He was a photographer's son. David Webb had spent 3 decades documenting endangered species, gorillas especially. He'd named half the silverbacks in these mountains, funded anti-poaching units, taught his son that a camera was worth more than any rifle. Marcus remembered mornings like this, mist thick enough to drink, his father whispering gorilla names like prayers, Keza's troop. Watch the juvenile, see how he mimics his father. That's learning, that's culture. The juvenile was small then, dark-furred, always within 10 feet of the massive silverback who led the group. "That's Amahoro," David said, camera clicking. "Means peace, 38 years old. See the scar on his shoulder? Leopard, 2 decades ago. He's a legend, Mark. Outlived poachers, disease, everything." Marcus was 17, bored, scrolling his phone. "You're not even looking. I'm looking. You're seeing nothing." David lowered his camera. "One day you'll understand what it means to witness something that won't exist in 50 years. To be the last person who—" The sat phone rang. David's face changed as he listened. Marcus watched his father age 5 years in 30 seconds. "Okay, yes, I'm coming." "What happened?" "Your mother." David was already packing. "Stroke. We need to leave. Now." 3 months later, David Webb was dead. Aneurysm, no warning. Marcus, now 18, inherited everything. The house, the debt, the unfinished documentary contracts, the obsession with animals he'd never understood. And the bills. God, the bills. His mother's medical expenses, the mortgage, his father's equipment loans. Marcus sold the cameras first, then the archive, then the dignity. 6 months later, he was booking his first hunt. "Gorilla permits are $45,000, the outfitter said over the phone. Zimbabwean accent, no judgment. "Silverback, trophy grade, legal, sort of. We operate in gray zones. You get photos, the pelt, skull if you want it. Wealthy clients pay double for endangered species. I'm not wealthy. You will be. These photos sell. Arab princes, Russian oligarchs. They pay $200,000 for the experience you're selling. I killed what no one else could. You're the guide. You're the story. You become the brand." Marcus stared at his father's last photo on the wall. Amahoro, chest beating, mouth open in a territorial roar. "You're seeing nothing." "When do we leave?" "The hunt, day 3. The Congolese guides found Amahoro's troop near the volcanic ridges. Marcus paid extra to ensure it was this silverback, the legendary one, the one his father had loved. Maximum impact, the outfitter whispered. This one's famous. Conservationists will lose their minds. Controversy sells. They tracked for 2 days. The troop knew humans, habituated from researchers, so they didn't flee. Amahoro stood his ground when Marcus raised the rifle. The juvenile, Keza, was right behind him. Marcus aimed. His hands didn't shake. He'd practiced this, justified it. It's legal. It's a permit. Dad's debts are gone after this. Mom's care is covered. This is survival. Amahoro beat his chest once. Keza mimicked the gesture clumsily. Marcus fired. The silverback dropped like a mountain collapsing. The troop scattered, except Keza. The juvenile stood frozen 15 feet away, staring at his father's body, at the blood spreading across the moss, at Marcus lowering the rifle. Their eyes met. Marcus felt something crack in his chest, but he shoved it down. The outfitter was already positioning the corpse for photos. Boot on the chest. Smile. Bigger. There. Perfect. The camera clicked. Keza watched from the trees. Marcus built an empire on that photo. Within 2 years, he was the most sought-after, exotic hunt consultant in the black market wildlife trade. Gorillas, elephants, tigers. He didn't pull triggers anymore. He organized experiences for billionaires who wanted to feel powerful. He bought his mother a house, bought himself a Range Rover, a Rolex, a reputation. David Webb's son, the conservationist's kid, now the best in the business. And he never thought about the juvenile gorilla again. Drop if you're already angry. Should Marcus have stopped here? Marcus Webb's phone died 2 miles into the jungle. Supposed to be a resupply drop, he muttered, checking the GPS one last time before the screen went black. 15-minute hike. His porter, a local named Jabari, didn't respond, just kept glancing at the canopy. What's your problem? This area, the old troop territories. We should go around. It's 3 miles around. We're low on water. The silverback here, there's always a silverback. They're territorial, not vengeful. Move. Jabari obeyed, but slowly. Marcus had returned to Congo for one reason. A Saudi prince wanted a mountain gorilla hunt, vintage style, 50-year anniversary of his father's first kill. Sentimental, poetic, $800,000 payout. Marcus had sworn he'd never return to this jungle. Too many memories. Too much of his father's ghost in these trees. But $800,000 was $800,000. The forest was quieter than he remembered. No birds, no monkeys, just the sound of their boots on wet leaves. Then the vines started moving. Not wind, not falling, deliberate. Jabari saw it first, a massive shape 30 feet up, pacing them through the branches. Gorilla, he whispered. Big one. They don't hunt humans. That one's not hunting, Jabari's voice cracked. It's following. Marcus looked up. Through the leaves he caught a glimpse. Silver fur across the shoulders. Scarred knuckles. And eyes. Dark, intelligent eyes. Fixed on him with the kind of focus predators reserve for prey. We keep moving, Marcus said. It's curious, that's all. But his hand found the pistol on his belt. The gorilla dropped to the ground 60 feet behind them. Knuckle walked 3 steps. Stopped. Waited. Boss, Jabari whispered. It's hurting us. Gorillas don't herd. A branch cracked to their left. 2 females emerged from the undergrowth. Younger, blocking the side path. Another crack. Right side. A blackback male. Marcus's mouth went dry. They're coordinating, Jabari said. I've never seen, the silverback charged. Not at them, past them. He stopped 20 feet ahead, blocking the forward path. Rose to full height, 6 feet of primate muscle and rage, and beat his chest. The sound was a thunder crack, a war drum. Marcus knew that display. Every guide knew it. Territorial warning, last chance to leave. But something was wrong. Because the silverback wasn't looking at both of them. He was looking at Marcus. We run, Jabari said. Now. They bolted. 45 seconds. That's how long they ran before Marcus realized the gorilla wasn't trying to catch them. He was driving them somewhere. Every time they veered left, a female cut them off. Right, the blackback appeared. The silverback stayed behind, close enough to terrify, far enough to let them think they had a chance. There, Jabari pointed. Ravine! We can lose them! They skidded down the embankment, splashed through a stream, scrambled up the opposite side into a small clearing, and stopped. Because they'd been here before. 12 years before. Marcus recognized the volcanic rock formation, the fallen mahogany tree, the moss-covered stones arranged in a half-circle by researchers. This was where Amahoro died. No, Marcus whispered. No, this isn't. The silverback emerged from the tree line, slowly, deliberately. He sat down 20 feet away and stared. Jabari was crying. It brought us here. It remembers you. Marcus's pistol was shaking in his hand. Gorillas don't. They can't. But even as he said it, he saw the proof. A scar on the silverback's left shoulder. Same pattern as Amahoro's leopard wound. The same dark patch of fur on the right forearm. The same way he tilted his head before a charge. Kiza, Marcus breathed. You were 3 years old. The gorilla didn't move, just watched Marcus's face with an expression that looked almost patient. He's waiting, Jabari whispered. Waiting for you to understand. Comment. What should Marcus do? Marcus fired 3 shots into the air. Standard protocol. Scare off dangerous wildlife. Keza didn't flinch. Move! Marcus screamed. Get out of here! The gorilla rose to full height, and Marcus understood with a cold certainty that locked his joints. This wasn't a threat display. This was a trial. Keza moved forward, 2 knuckle steps, stopped. Behind him, the rest of the troop emerged. 7 females, 3 juveniles, 2 blackbacks. They formed a semicircle, an audience. Boss, we have to. He'll kill us if we run, Marcus said. Look at them. They're organized. He's showing them something. Showing them what? Marcus met Keza's eyes. Me. He's showing them me. The silverback sat again, closer now, 15 feet, and did something that made Marcus's blood freeze. He pointed, not randomly, not instinctively. He extended one thick finger toward Marcus's chest, then moved it slowly to point at the exact spot where Amahoro had died. Then back to Marcus. He's telling a story, Jabari whispered. Oh God, he's teaching them. Keza huffed, a low, resonant sound. The juveniles moved closer, watching Marcus with enormous eyes. He's showing the young ones what humans do, Marcus realized. He's making sure they remember, that they pass it down. Jabari was backing away slowly. We need to leave. Now. Before. A juvenile, no more than 4 years old, approached Marcus. Keza didn't stop him. The young gorilla came within 5 feet, stared at Marcus's rifle, at his hands, at his face, then looked back at Keza, and the silverback made a sound Marcus had only heard once before. A long, mournful hoot that his father once said meant teaching or warning or story. The juvenile retreated to the group. "He's showing them I'm not a threat," Marcus said. "He's showing them I'm pathetic." "Then let's go." "No." Marcus lowered his gun. "If I run, he'll chase. If I shoot, the troop kills us both. This is something else." Keza stood again. This time he walked the full distance. Marcus stopped breathing. The silverback stopped 3 feet away, close enough that Marcus could smell him. Earth and vegetation and something wild. Close enough to see the intelligence in those eyes. The awareness. Keza reached out. Marcus squeezed his eyes shut, waiting for the blow. But it didn't come. Instead, he felt something press against his chest. He opened his eyes. Keza's hand was resting over Marcus's heart. Gentle, deliberate. Then the gorilla moved that hand to his own chest and beat it once. Softly. Amahoro's gesture. "He's asking if you have one," Jabari whispered. "A heart. He's asking if you're capable of—" Marcus's gun slipped from his fingers. He didn't choose to drop it. His body just gave up. And he started to cry. 12 years of justification. Of it was legal, and I had to, and it's just an animal. It all shattered in that moment. Because Keza could have killed him. Should have killed him. But instead, he was offering something worse than revenge. Forgiveness. No. Not forgiveness. Judgment. The chance to see himself through the eyes of the thing he'd made into a trophy. "I'm sorry," Marcus sobbed. "I'm sorry, I couldn't." Keza dropped his hand, stepped back, and then did something Marcus would never be able to explain to anyone. He turned his back, completely, exposing his spine, his neck, the ultimate gorilla gesture of contempt. "You're not even worth fighting." The troop followed him into the jungle. In 30 seconds, they were gone. Marcus collapsed onto the same stones where his father's hero had bled out, and understood what Keza had really done. He'd let Marcus live with it. Drop gorilla feet, if this is the most powerful revenge. Jabari helped Marcus back to the road. It took 6 hours. Marcus didn't speak the entire time. When they reached the village, the porter said, "You can't tell anyone what happened." Why? Because if poachers know there's a silverback that smart, that organized, they'll come for him. Trophy hunters pay double for intelligent kills. Marcus thought about the Saudi prince, the $800,000, the hunt he'd been hired to arrange. He thought about Keza turning his back. "I'm done," Marcus said. "With the trip. With everything." Marcus Webb, once the world's most sought-after illegal hunt coordinator, has become the industry's most vocal whistleblower. His testimony has led to 17 arrests, $4.2 million in fines, and the closure of 6 hunting outfits. The journalist leaned forward. "What changed?" Marcus looked out the window. "I saw myself clearly for the first time. And the thing that showed me wasn't human. The rumor is you had an encounter in Congo." "I did." "Can you describe it?" Marcus smiled, sad, distant. "A gorilla taught me that mercy isn't weakness. It's the most devastating weapon in existence." "Meaning?" "Meaning he could have killed me. Should have. But he chose to let me live knowing what I'd done. That's worse than any revenge." "Do you think about him?" "Every day." "Guilt?" "Gratitude." The journalist frowned. "For what?" "For showing me that some debts can't be paid, only carried." Marcus returned with a BBC camera crew. Anti-poaching documentary. His idea, his funding, his penance. They found Keza's troop near the same volcanic ridges. The silverback was massive now. nearly 400 pounds, scars from territorial battles, a new set of juveniles learning to chest beat under his watch. Marcus stayed 100 feet back, as protocol demanded. But when Keza looked his direction, Marcus did something he'd practiced for 2 years. He sat down and bowed his head. Gorilla submission posture. I'm not a threat. I'm beneath you. I understand. The crew filmed in silence. Keza watched for a long moment, then turned away. Not contempt this time, acceptance. Later, the crew asked Marcus why he was crying. Because he remembered, Marcus said. Even after all this time, he knew exactly who I was. And he let me be here anyway. 5 years after the encounter, Marcus Webb died of malaria in a Congolese field hospital. He was 41, underfunded, alone. He'd spent his last 5 years living in a tent near Virunga, documenting guerrilla behavior, funding patrols, teaching locals about conservation. He'd given away everything he'd earned from hunting, every dollar, every asset. His last entry in his field journal read, Keza's troop spotted today. 14 members now. 3 babies born this year. He saw me. I think he knows I'm sick. Gorillas can smell illness. Maybe he understands I'm paying the debt the only way I can, by spending the rest of my life protecting what I destroyed. Dad was right. I was seeing nothing. Now I see everything. The Rangers buried Marcus near the research camp. Simple grave. No headstone. What they didn't tell anyone, what only 2 Rangers witnessed, was what happened 3 days after the funeral. Keza's troop came down from the mountains, all 14 members. They sat in a semicircle around the fresh grave for 40 minutes. Keza in front. He didn't touch the earth, didn't vocalize, just sat. And when he finally stood to leave, he did something the Rangers had never seen. He placed a single branch on the grave, a Hagania branch, the same tree species that had shaded Amahoro's body 12 years before. Then he led his family back into the forest. The BBC documentary, The Debt, won 3 international awards. Keza's story became legend in conservation circles. Tourists pay premium rates to see the gorilla who forgave his father's killer. But the guides who work those mountains know the real story. Keza didn't forgive anything. He did something more powerful. He showed a human being that animals don't just react. They remember, they teach, they judge. And sometimes, they give you the chance to become worthy of their mercy. Marcus Webb spent 12 years believing gorillas were less than human. Keza spent 12 years proving humans were less than gorillas. And in the end, both were half right. The juvenile who watched his father die became the silverback who let his father's killer live. And the hunter who thought animals forget became the man who made sure humans remembered. If you believe intelligence doesn't require language, that justice doesn't require revenge, and that the most human thing we can do is recognize humanity in other species, subscribe. Because this isn't just a story about a gorilla. It's a story about what we see when we finally learn to look. Would you have been able to turn your life around like Marcus? Do you think Keza truly forgave him, or just chose a different kind of punishment? Should wildlife revenge stories inspire change, or do they glorify the harm that led to them? Drop if this changed how you see animals. Drop if you cried. Drop if this was the truest justice. The jungle keeps receipts, but sometimes it offers redemption too.